I think what's important to just kind of tell where we came from and how we came on staff starts with really how we met. Michaela and I met through the Baptist campus ministry at Murray State, and went on our first date and then left for the summer. So that summer I was interning at Emmanuel, another church down the road in Benton, and Michaela was working at a summer camp in Kentucky, and that was just kind of where we both knew that we were going to be kind of on that path at some point where we were going to be involved in ministry of some type. We just didn't know what really that was going to look like yet. But my internship was all about youth, and Michaela's summer camp was obviously not for grown-ups, it was for kids, and so that was something that was kind of on both of our hearts, and we had both kind of been led there on our own, and it was kind of cool to see how we were going to maybe someday combine those things and do something like that together as a couple.
So after we got married, we lived in Evansville for a while, and church hopping is not fun. It took a long time to even find a church that we wanted to go to consistently, but we prayed about that a lot, and one morning before church, I think we had settled at one in particular at that point, but we were headed to church, but we thought we would stop and get some breakfast first. We call this our Taco Bell guy story, because it's really had an impact on why we are here in ministry now. But we stopped at Taco Bell, and we walked in, and there's nobody else in the restaurant except this man who is sitting behind like the small wall that they have there behind the line, and he doesn't have any food on his table. He's just sitting there. And so we did not see him until we came around after we ordered to sit down, and we're sitting in a booth diagonal to him, and he's just staring. And I was starting to feel uncomfortable. I was facing him, and Gavin had his back to him, but he would just not stop eye contact. And so I tried to make it awkward where he would move on or do something else, and I said, "Good morning," and he said nothing except, "Have you guys ever thought about going into ministry?" And we said, "Not really, no." And he said, "When that opportunity comes up, don't miss it." And then he walked out. And it was just a strange moment for both of us, because that's not something that we had ever really considered. And I don't even know that we knew about Gavin's job change at that point. He was offered a position in insurance to come back here to Benton and Whittington and that area. And it was just kind of weird that it kind of came around where it was the time that Bob was exiting the youth ministry and looking for someone to fill that position so that he could work with FCA. So we call that our Taco Bell guy story, because if we didn't have him to give us that nudge around that time of moving back here, I don't know that we would have put as much thought into it as we did before accepting the position.
We had sat down while we still lived in Evansville with a family friend for a job opportunity to move back here for me, move here for you, and we visited Whittington when we would come home for the weekends and stuff, and I knew for a few months that we were going to take this job before we could actually leave. So in that in-between time, and probably a month or two after our experience at Taco Bell, Mark had reached out to us to sit down with him at Burton's, and he just kind of talked to us about how Bob was taking a role at FCA and he was going to step away from the youth, and he knew we were coming home, and there was kind of some waiting involved for us to move here, the timing of the new job and everything. And there was also kind of a similar situation with Bob, and it was like we all knew we were making this change, but it wasn't happening yet. But they were both going to happen at the same time, like within a couple of months of each other. And so with the charge that we got that morning at breakfast, we were kind of looking for that opportunity, and that one just seemed pretty obvious that it was where we were supposed to go and what we were supposed to do. So I think it was August of 2018.
Nora was 2 months old.
Yeah, so she had just been born. Part of that transition was also we were pregnant, and so that was a big thing too. We're almost at the end of year 6 right now.
Mm-hmm.